In this video, we're going to go over how to create a new family from scratch and how to apply parameters to it so that it's easier to edit in the future. There's a lot to cover in this video, so it's going to go over 5 minutes, so bear with me. To create a new family from scratch, first go to File at the top of the window, choose File, New, and then Family. Doing this will bring open a browser window where you can choose a new template to start your family out with. Since you'll need a new template to start this out with, 9 times out of 10, you'll want to start out using a generic family template. It'll be the easiest and the simplest. So I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to find generic model, choose it, and click open. Doing that brings me into a family editor for a brand new family. You can see that it already lays out a couple reference planes for you, which gives you a center to your model. And this model is a 3D model. If you go to the browser window to the left, you can see it starts me out in floor plan view. And I can also go down to the elevations, and I can see that it has a front, a back, left, and a right side. For this family, we're just going to create a generic box. So I'm going to go back to the floor plan level, which is floor plan's reference level. And to start laying out the parameters for this box, which will be its width, height, and depth dimensions, I need to lay out reference planes first. The reference planes will be dimensioned, and there are going to be what flex, and then the geometry of the box is going to be aligned and locked or glued to these reference planes, and that's what's going to define the size of this box. So to make sense of all this, first go to the tool tray to the left and just choose the reference plane tool. And I'm going to click to start, drag it out, and click to finish. This will be the left edge of our box. I want to dimension it from our center to give it a nice even dimension. So going to the dimension tool, choose dimension, and dimension it to the center. And then selecting the reference plane, I can then select the dimension itself and change it, for example, to 3 feet. Now that we have a left edge defined for our box, I'm going to select the reference plane and mirror it about the center to give the right edge. So choosing the reference plane, I'll click mirror, choose the center, and it mirrors it over. Once we have the edges defined, I want to name them so it's easier to edit the model in the future. So selecting the reference plane, I'll right click, choose element properties, and in our parameters window, I can name this side left, and going down to its reference, I will tell Revit that this is going to be the left edge. And doing the same on the right side, element properties, I'll name it right. Now that I've got the left and the right edges of the box defined with reference planes, I'll go ahead and fast forward through the process and use the same process to lay down reference planes for its front and back faces. Now the front and back faces have been defined for the box, and for whatever reason, Revit's default front side is going to be at the bottom of the screen. Its back side is just at the top of the screen. Since this is a 3D box, then we need to go to another view to define its top parameter, its top edge. So I'll go to the elevations in the browser window to the left. I'll go ahead and choose its front elevation. Here I'll grab the reference plane tool again and lay down a top reference plane and dimension it. Now that we have all the reference planes laid down for our box, we have the left, right, front, and back, and top. We need to start defining these dimensions as parameters so that we can change them and they can start flexing and changing the shape of our box. So just starting out in the front view, since we're already here, if I select the dimension itself, you'll notice in the option bar at the top of the window there is a label drop down menu. If I click to drop down, I have the option to add a parameter. This brings me into a parameter properties window. I can give it a name. This is going to be its height, so I'll name it height. And under its grouping, this is just a way to organize what this parameter is. It is a dimension for the box. And in this case, I'm going to categorize it in our next option as a type. you have the option of choosing a type or an instance parameter. Again, the difference between the two, a type parameter applies to all of the same type. An instance parameter applies to only the family that you have selected at the time. In this case, we'll just choose type parameter, click OK, and now you can see that the dimension has been changed to be called height. And I can check to see now if this parameter is working, if it's actually going to move this reference plane up and down by going to the tool of family types at the left tool tray at the screen. Click on family types. It opens up the family types window, which is the exact same window you'll see if you choose this family's element properties when it's in a project. You can see that the parameter height has been added, and if I move the window to the side and if I change that and hit apply, you can see that the reference plane has changed to the new parameter, to the new dimension that's been changed. So now that the height has been defined, I'll go ahead and go to the floor plan view again, and I will start applying a width and depth parameter. In this case, for the width and depth, we have a center reference plane, and we want to make sure that that stays the center, even though the width and height width and depth will change. So to do that, we want to lay out a dimension chain and equalize it so that the center always remains in the center reference plane of the model. So to make sense of this, I'm going to delete out this old construction dimension. I'll go to the dimension tool, choose the left edge, then choose the center, and then go over to choose the right edge. And then I'll drag it up and place it. This gives me the option to hit EQ, which will equalize that center reference plane now, no matter how far apart these edges are. I'm going to now create the dimension, which will eventually become our width parameter. So now I'm going to dimension again. I'm going to choose the left edge. I'm going to go all the way over to the right edge, bring it up. This 6-foot dimension now I'm going to select, go to the option bar at the top, and add a parameter, and this will now become our width parameter. We can call it dimension and type. And if we go to our family types, you can see that the width parameter has been added, and if I change it in here and hit apply, it's now shrunken our edges and it's maintained the center for the center of our object. I'll go ahead and fast forward and apply the same process to our depth parameter. Now that we have all parameters defined and they are working for our reference planes, we want to start drawing out the geometry of what this box is, and then we can glue it to those reference planes so that it moves with them when we change the dimensions. And so to create the geometry of our box while in the floor plan, I'm going to go to the solid form extrusion tool. This will let us create a solid form box. So in the tool tray to the left, choose solid form and choose solid extrusion. Doing this brings me into a sketch mode, which is just like the sketch mode for a floor object or a roof object. Using the tools at the top in the option bar, I'll choose the rectangle tool, just draw one out. And now using the align tool, I'm going to first choose the reference plane, which is our back side of our box. I'm going to select the edge of the box. It aligns it up to it, and then I'm going to click on the padlock to glue it to that reference plane. And I'll do this for all the sides. I'll go to the left reference plane, choose it, choose the edge, it brings it over and lock it, the front face, and the right face. Now that all sides have been aligned and locked to their respective reference planes, I'll choose the Finish Sketch option in the tool tree to the left. It will bring us out of the sketch mode. And if I go to a 3D view, clicking at the top, we can see it's created a box. I'm not done yet though. I need to align and lock the top parameter as well. So I'm going to go back to a front elevation view. You can see that the box is short, so I'm going to choose the Align Lock tool, choose the top reference plane, choose the box's edge, and then click to lock it in place. I'm going to escape a couple times to get out of that tool. I'll go back to the 3D view. We can see a box that has been extruded and created, and I'm going to just check with the Family Types button to make sure that the box now flexes with the dimensions that I change. And it does. Once you've created this generic family, you can choose Load into Project button, which is located in your tool tray at the bottom. Clicking on it will load it now into your project. And if I want to start bringing this component in, I just go to the Basics tab of the tray, choose Component. I now have a family that I've created, and I can place it anywhere. And if I select the family, I can choose its element properties, click Edit New, and you can now access the type parameters and change them to what you need.